All right, you are live. Let's see. This will be a part two of Principality of Monaco, and we will continue from where we ended last time. Let's see. Okay, we were right here. Are you planning to go deep into every single ruler that ruled Monaco? So let's continue. We were at Henri I. Henri I was the son of Lucian. Lucian was killed by his or assassinated by by his nephew, and Henri I was just 9 months old. So he had a bunch of regents who were taking care of him. Tell me about the rule of Augustine Grimaldi. Also spell Augustine role. So does the regent for his young nephew. For his young nephew. Oh, so he was not like a bureaucrat. He was the uncle who became Lord of Monaco in 1523 at the age of 9 months. This is the beautiful Monegasque coat of arms. Ruled Monaco for about 8 years from 1523 until his death in 1532. Okay. He was the Bishop of Grasse and the brother of Lucien Grimaldi, the previous ruler of Monaco. Augustine became regent after the assassination of his brother, ensuring that Grimaldi family maintained control of Monaco. He was known for his political acumen and diplomatic abilities, which he used to protect Monaco's interests. During his regency, Augustine made the crucial decision to shift Monaco's alliance from France to Spain. This was done to protect Monaco from French aggression and ensure its independence. Negotiation with Spain. He sent a delegation led by Leonardo Grimaldi to negotiate with Charles V, the King of Spain and Holy Roman Emperor. Okay. Initially, this resulted in a loss of Monaco's sovereignty, but Augustine later managed to persuade Charles V to reverse this decision and recognize Monaco as a sovereign state again. Defense. Before his regency, Augustine had helped his brother Lucian defend Monaco against a Genoese siege by securing French support. Augustine's efforts were crucial in maintaining the independence during turbulent period. Diplomatic skills and strategic decisions helped secure the Grimaldi family's continued rule over Monaco. He died suddenly at the age of 50. There were rumors of poisoning, but no evidence was found to support this claim. Skillful diplomacy and strategic decision making that helped preserve Monaco's independence and the Grimaldi family's rule. Interesting. Okay, let's go to Nicola. Tell me about the rule of Nicholas Grimaldi. Ooh, Nicholas Grimaldi is young. Let's see. So it is a co-regent for the young Lord Henri I of Monaco. He was appointed as a co-regent alongside Blanche Grimaldi, Baron de Tourette, who was Henri I's aunt. Nicholas Grimaldi's tenure as a regent was extremely short, only lasting 9 days. The regency occurred after the death of Augustine Grimaldi on April 14, 1532, had been serving as regent for Henri I, who was still a minor at the time. After Nicholas's brief 9-day regency, Blanche Grimaldi was also forced to leave Monaco on July 1, 1532. Following the departure of Nicholas and Blanche Grimaldi, Etienne Grimaldi, known as the governor, was chosen as the new regent. It is important to note that the information about Nicholas Grimaldi's rule is very limited. His extremely short tenure as a co-regent suggests that there may have been some political instability or disagreement about who should serve as regent for the young Henri I during this period. Interesting. Only 9 days. Tell me about the rule of Etienne now. Let's see. 32 to 40. Governor as a regent, chosen as a regent for the young Lord Henry I on April 23, 1532. Oh, no images found, no videos found, and we cannot generate images. Let's make sure that we got everything. Okay, perfect. So it is regent until 1540 when Henry I reached his majority, was from Genoa and was not directly related to the ruling Grimaldi family of Monaco. He took over after the brief 9-day regency of Nicholas Grimaldi and Blanche Grimaldi were forced to leave Monaco. As regent, Etienne was responsible for governing Monaco on behalf of the young Henri I. Oversaw restorations made to the Church of St. Nicholas. Even after Henri I reached his majority, Etienne remained the de facto ruler of Monaco with Henri's blessing until Etienne's death in 1561. Oh, so Henri I was supposed to be ruling until 1580, but he didn't just take over at 1540. He let Etienne rule until 1561 for 20 more years, 21 more years. Etienne's long period of influence provided stability to Monaco during Henri I's youth and early adulthood. Etienne's regency occurred during a period when Monaco was under Spanish protection following the shift in alliances made by Augustine Grimaldi. Very interesting. Let's see. Why were Nicholas and Branch Grimaldi forced to leave Monaco? I'm trying a new keyboard now, so my speed of typing has been reduced. 9 days, some political instability or disagreement. It's possible that there may be power struggles or conflicts among different factions from the Grimaldi family or Monaco's nobility. Let's see if we got some interesting images over here. Cool, cool, cool. Society protectrice de animaux de Monaco. De Monaco. Occurred after the death of Augustine. Rapid changes in Regency suggest there may be uncertainty. Monaco was under Spanish protection, so it's possible that external political pressure influenced the change in Regency. There might have been concerns about Nicholas and Blanche's ability to effectively govern Monaco during a challenging period. The fact that Etienne was chosen as the new regent suggests that he may have been seen as a more suitable or stable choice for leadership. And he did. He did run for 30 years. That is crazy. That is crazy. Okay. So now let's go into honorary one. Tell me about the rule of honorary one. And this was from 61 to 51. We have some images. I'm not sure which one is honorary one. Hmm. Became Lord of Monaco, ruled from 23 to 81, though he only came into full power later in life. He had different regency, reached his majority, but Etienne remained the de facto ruler until his death. Finally assumed full control at age 40, he was unprepared and inexperienced in ruling. He continued the alliance with Spain, established by his uncle Augustine, which proved financially burdensome for Monaco. Never left Monaco during his entire reign, focusing on internal affairs. He had a keen interest in the small navy, but financial difficulties forced him to sell off most of the fleet. Despite financial constraints, he made improvements to St. Nicholas Cathedral and the princely palace. His rule was described as relatively calm and peaceful, especially towards the end, referred as remarkable for his bravery, wisdom, and valor. He married Isabel Grimaldi, with whom he had four sons. During his reign, Monaco hosted visits from Emperor Charles V and Pope Paul III. I'm curious about. We did talk about this thing where Spanish army was in Spanish protection. Okay. Tell me more about the Spanish protection. Treaty of Burgos. A treaty was signed in Burgos between Monaco and Spain, placing Monaco under Spanish protection. The Rock of Monaco is here. Okay. Treaty of Tordesillas. The Treaty of Burgos was ratified in 1524 in Tordesillas. This treaty officially placed Monaco under the protection of Charles V, Holy Roman Emperor and King of Spain. Augustine Grimaldi, who was a regent for the young Henri I, sought Spanish protection due to disagreements with the French authorities and fear of potential threats from powerful figures like Andrea Doria. Who is Andrea Doria? We did learn about something. We did read someone who was named Doria. Let's see. Monaco became an imperial fief, though the final agreement removed the requirement for the Lord of Monaco to give homage. Spain provided a garrison to defend Monaco's independence. Monaco is recognized as absolutely independent from any superior powers. Spanish garrison remained in Monaco almost entirely at the expense of Monegasques, which weighed heavily on the country's financial situation for over a century. Monaco's port became strategically important for Spain, allowing attacks on the Italian coast. Charles V considered the Lord of Monaco as his friend and even visited Monaco for 4 days in 1529. Spanish protectorate lasted until 1641 when French troops 1641 when French troops expelled the Spanish garrison, provided peace and protection, and also limited Monaco's independence in international politics. Financial burden of maintaining the Spanish garrison led to increasing resentment among the Monegasques. Agreement allowed for the posting of Spanish garrison in Monaco, further cementing Spanish influence. Interesting. What do we have about? Tell me about Andrea Doria. A very interesting image we have over here. This one. Hmm. Born November 30, 1466. Died 20 November 25, 1560. Age 93. Duchy of Milan. Member of an ancient aristocratic Genoese family. Orphaned at an early age, became a soldier of fortune. Served Pope Innocent VIII and various Italian princes. Helped quell a Corsican revolt against Genoese rule. Became a naval commander patrolling the Mediterranean, fought against Ottoman Turks and Barbary pirates, won a significant victory over the Turks at Pianosa in 1519. Initially served Francis I of France as admiral of the French Mediterranean fleet, later switched allegiance to Holy Roman Emperor Charles V in 1528, drove the French out of Genoa in September 1528, became the new ruler of Genoa and reformed its constitution, established an oligarchic government composed of principal aristocratic families, Military achievements: appointed Grand Admiral of the Imperial Fleet by Charles V, led several naval expeditions against the Turks, helped capture Tunis in 1535, continued to be active in naval affairs even in his 70s and 80s, survived a plot against his family by a Fieschi family in 1547, considered the foremost naval leader of his time, played a key role in shaping the Republic of Genoa. His reform constitution lasted until 1797, described him as an extremely able soldier and skilled naval tactician. Let's understand what is Republic of Genoa. We don't know where Genoa is. Or is it Geneva? The history of the Italian city that became influential across the Mediterranean during the Middle Ages. Wow. Genoa. These images are so cool. Genoa emerged as an independent city state before 1100 CE. It became one of the powerful maritime republics, Republice Marinare, along with Venice, Pisa, and Amalfi. Government, initially ruled by consuls elected by popular assembly, later adopted a system with a doge similar to Venice. The Bank of St. George, founded in 1407, played a significant role in the city's governance, thrived on trade, shipbuilding, and banking, controlled much of the Tyrrhenian Sea trade, established colonies in the Middle East, Aegean Sea, Sicily, and North Africa, maintained one of the largest and most powerful navies in the Mediterranean, known for skilled sailors and fierce warriors, including Genoese crossbowmen, reached its peak of power in 12th and 13th century. Population grew about 100,000 inhabitants, rivaled only by Venice in Levant trade. Ongoing rivalry with Venice, including the War of Chioggia, conflicts with Pisa, including the decisive Battle of Meloria in 1284, suffered from the Black Death in 1347, allegedly imported via its trading post in allegedly imported via its trading post in Crimea, lost territories including Sardinia to Aragon, Corsica to internal revolt, and eastern colonies to the Ottoman Empire, experienced periods of foreign domination, including by France and Milan. Legacy: birthplace of Christopher Columbus. Interesting. The Bank of St. George was one of the oldest chartered banks in the world. Many Renaissance era palaces now recognized as UNESCO World Heritage Sites. The independent Republic of Genoa ended in 1797 following Napoleon's invasion of Italy. The Republic of Genoa was a major maritime commercial power. Hmm. What is present day Republic of Genoa? Genoa, Sardinia, Sicily. This is entire, we're looking at the entire Italy over here. There's San Marino. Corsica is part of France. So they lost Corsica to France. Earlier it was part of Italy. Sardinia, Sardinia, but Sardinia is part of it. Okay. We read Sardinia somewhere. Lost territories include Sardinia to Aragon. I'm guessing Aragon is Greece. Tyrian Sea. Okay. So Genoa is a very small place. And Genoa is kind of a state. Milan, Savoy, Florence, Siena, Papal States, Kingdom of Naples, and Sicily. So Italy was a bunch of small empires coming together. Very interesting. End of the Republic. The independent Republic of Genoa ended in 1797 when it was conquered by Napoleon Bonaparte's French forces. Ligurian Republic. After its fall, the territory became the Ligurian Republic of French Sister Republic. 1805, the area was fully annexed by the French First Empire. 1814, following Napoleon's fall, the Republic of Genoa was briefly revived. Annexation by Sardinia. Whew. At the Congress of Vienna in 1815, it was decided to give the territory of the former Republic of Genoa to the Kingdom of Sardinia Piedmont, part of Italy. Genoa and its surrounding region eventually became part of unified Kingdom of Italy in 1861. I kind of read this before how Italy was formed, but this is very interesting because these were also different kind of empires that were fighting with each other, and then they had to come together to form what we call today as Italy. Genoa and its surrounding region eventually became part of the unified kingdom of Italy in 1861. Today, Genoa is a city in Italy and the capital of Liguria region. It is not an independent republic. It is currently the sixth largest city in Italy with a population of about 558,000 and is an important port city, now governed as part of Italian political system with a municipal government. Hmm. Let's get some modern day pictures of Genoa, the city in Italy. Looks magnificent. So beautiful. So much history. So beautiful. I'm guessing Cinque Terre is here. Cinque Terre, I believe that's how you say it. Capital of is a vibrant city located in Liguria, region of northwestern Italy, province of Genoa, approximately half a million residents, situated in the Gulf of Genoa, bordered by Ligurian Sea and Apennine Mountains. It covers an area of about 243 square kilometers. Historically, Genoa was one of the most important maritime republics during the Middle Ages and Renaissance, rivaling Venice in trade and naval power. City is known for its rich cultural history, being the birthplace of notable figures such as Christopher Columbus and Niccolo Paganini. Genoa's historic center is one of the largest and most densely populated in Europe. It features narrow alleys known as Carugi and numerous medieval and Renaissance buildings. The Strade Nuove and the Palazzi dei Roli were inscribed on UNESCO's World Heritage List in 2006, showcasing their architectural significance. Piazza dei Ferrari, the main square featuring important buildings like the Opera House, Palazzo Ducale, a historical palace that was once the residence of the Doges. Genoa Aquarium, one of the largest aquariums in Europe, located at the Old Harbor, Porto Antico. La Lanterna, the oldest working lighthouse in the world. Port city. Genoa's port is Italy's busiest and serves as a major hub for trade and commerce, handling significant volumes of freight and passenger traffic. Besides shipping, key industries include shipbuilding, finance, textiles, and chemicals. Shipbuilding, finance, textiles, and chemicals. City hosts various cultural events and institutions, including theaters, museums, and universities, well connected by rails. Okay, interesting, interesting. Wow. So you went from Honorary 1 to Genoa. And we kept learning about Genoa, so this was interesting. Now let's go after Genoa. We have Charles II, and then we will have Hercule. Tell me about the rule of Charles II. Let's see. Here we have Charles II. Hmm. Rainy 1, Charles 1, Rainy 2, John 1, Catalan, Claudine, Lambert, Lucien, Augustine Grimaldi, Henri 1, Charles 2, Hercule, Henri 2. Monaco, Monaco. Very interesting. Charles II, the eldest son of Henri I and Isabella Grimaldi, became Lord of Monaco upon his father's death in 1581. His reign was relatively short. Rule occurred during a time of great power rivalry in Europe between France and Spain. Monaco was under Spanish protection during this period, a decision made during his father's childhood by his uncle Augustine, who acted as regent. Early in his reign, faced significant military assault on Monaco by 500 French and Corsican troops. Miracle of Saint Devote. During this attack, a miraculous intervention by Saint Devote, Monaco's patron saint, is said to have occurred, causing the attacking forces to retreat. Conflict with Savoy. Charles II faced diplomatic and legal challenges from the Duke of Savoy over Roquebrune and Menton. He refused to pay homage to the Duke of these territories, territories, legal battles. 83 judgments were rendered in Savoy's favor regarding Menton and Roquebrune, but Charles to maintain Monaco's control over these areas. Refusal to pay homage to Savoy upheld important principles of Monaco's independent status, building on previous recognition by French monarchs. Remained unmarried and childless throughout his reign. He died at the age of 34 after a short reign. The throne passed to his younger brother Hercule upon his death, marked by successful defense of Monaco's independence and territories, despite facing significant external pressures from both France and Savoy. And Savoy is kind of part of Italy. Interesting. Interesting. And now we'll go to the last ruler of the 16th century. Yes. We still got 300 more years to go. Let's see. Hercules succeeded his brother as Lord of Monaco in 1589. His reign lasted a period of about 15 years. Monaco continued to be under Spanish protection. Okay, this seems to have never changed. It did last for 100 years. Beautiful clock over here. Beautiful, beautiful. A situation that had been in place since 1524. Financial burden. Hercule inherited a Monaco burden with heavy financial costs due to Spanish protection, including paying for the unpopular Spanish garrison station in the fortress. Met with a violent death at the hands of some of his own subjects in 1604. The exact circumstances of this death are not detailed. He was succeeded by his son Henri II, who would later become the first to use the title Prince of Monaco in 1612. Hercules' rule occurred during a period of continued power struggles between France and Spain, which affected Monaco's political and economic situation. Specific achievements not mentioned. Reign served as a transition between the earlier lords of Monaco and the later princes, as his son Henri II would be the first to hold the title. After Hercules' death, Prince Francis Landy of Valdeterre served as regent for the young Henri II from 1604 to 1616. Appears to have been a challenging period for Monaco, marked by financial difficulties due to Spanish protectorate. However, it set the stage for an ending in his violent death. It set the stage for the significant changes that would occur under his son's rule. We cannot be going back again and again. So we will requery the list. Ooh, all right, we got 16 more rulers to go. Let's see. It's worth noting that the title changed from Lord of Monaco to Prince of Monaco. Tell me about the rule of Henri II became the first Prince of Monaco in 1612. Hmm. Hello, Monaco. Nice magazine. Became Lord of Monaco in 1604 at the age of 7 following the death of his father, Hercule. Due to his young age, Prince Francis Landy of Valdeterre served as regent from 1604 to 1616. Spanish troops occupied Monaco from 1604 to 1614 during Henri II's minority. In 1612, Henri II took the title of Prince of Monaco to reaffirm his authority against Spanish domination. This became the official title for Monaco's rulers thereafter. Recognition of sovereignty. Spain recognized Henri II as a sovereign prince in 1633. So he ruled from 1604 to 1662. Very interesting. So almost 60 years. And in between, we had around 12 years of regency. And after that, he turned 19. And between that, he took the title of Prince of Monaco. Spain recognized him as a sovereign prince in 1633. By then, he was 40 years old. Ooh. Henri II negotiated with France to free Monaco from Spanish. This is really cool. They know that Spain and France are fighting with each other. So when France is powerful, they work with France, but then France gets too much from them. So then they go to Spain that hey, save us from France. So then Spain saves them, and then Spain takes too much from them. Then they go to France and they're like, hey, save us from Spain. This keeps on happening. This keeps on happening. Okay. Henri II negotiated with France to free Monaco from Spanish influence. This led to the Treaty of Peronne in 1641 with Louis XIII of France. Hmm. Treaty of Peronne. Signed on September 14, 1641, this treaty reaffirmed and reinforced Monegasque sovereignty while placing Monaco under French protection. Expulsion of Spanish garrison. Henri II orchestrated the expulsion of the Spanish garrison through a clever stratagem involving a banquet and the release of imprisoned Monegasque citizens. Louis XIII awarded Henri II the title of Marquis of Beau and Duke of Valentinois. Cultural contributions. Henri II was well educated and a patron of the arts. He began collecting artworks by renowned artists like Durer, Michelangelo, Raphael, Rubin, and Titian. Palace renovations. Over a 30-year period, Henri II transformed the fortress like palace into a more suitable princely residence. Monaco experienced the establishment of an absolute monarchy with divine right, similar to other European countries of the time. Ruled for 58 years, credited with strengthening Monaco's sovereignty, shifting its alliances, and elevating its cultural status. This is really cool. There's definitely a long, long period of stability, and then suddenly they turn old, they die, and they have no plan what's going to happen after that. That's life. That is life. But I'm curious about this strategic expulsion. Tell me more. Wow, this is a beautiful art. If this is an art, this is beautiful. This must be a painting. This is a painting because it's not a photograph. The expulsion of the Spanish. 1641 wanted to remove Spanish garrison from Monaco and align with France. Instead, ordered the arrest of 30 strong and capable inhabitants of Monaco and imprisoned them. The banquet. He then invited the Spanish garrison to a grand banquet at the palace. During the banquet, Henri II made sure the Spanish soldiers became extremely drunk to the point where they were almost incapable of defending themselves. Once the Spanish were sufficiently intoxicated, opened the prison and released the 30 Monegasque citizens he had previously imprisoned. He provided the released prisoners with daggers and instructed them to attack and kill the Spanish garrison. Despite their drunken state, Spanish soldiers were able to put up some resistance. However, they were outnumbered at a significant disadvantage. Most of them were slaughtered in the ensuing fight. After the attack, Henri to open the gates of Monaco to French soldiers who had been waiting in Antibes to replace the Spanish garrison. This event took place in November 1641. Action was likely coordinated with the French as it coincided with the Treaty of Peronne signed in September 1641, which formalized Monaco's alliance with France. So, is this it? This is Monegasque people with weapons, and these are drunk soldiers, maybe. Very interesting. Very interesting. Okay, after Honorary 2, we have Louis. Tell me about the rule of Louis I. Ooh, grandfather. Louis I succeeded his grandfather Henri II as Prince of Monaco in 1662. He was born on July 25, 1642, in the Prince's Palace of Monaco and died on January 3, 1701, in Rome. And now we will also maybe find a lot of beautiful images. This is the Monaco flag. Prince Monoec. Hmm. Interesting. Prince Hercule of Monaco and Maria Aurelia Spinola. Hmm. Spouse Catherine Charlotte de Gramont. Children, six, including his successor. Hmm. Antoine Grimaldi. 1666. Louis I distinguished himself at the 4 days battle between the English and the Dutch fleets. 68. He took the oath to King Louis XIV of France in the Parliament as Duke of Valentinois and peer of France. He was made a knight of the French Royal Orders in December 31, 1688. I'm curious, what happened to the son of Henri II? Hmm, no information. And with Louis I, it seems like he's really involved with the French. He was made a Knight of the French Royal Orders on December 31, 1688. Diplomatic role in 1699. Louis XIV sent Louis I to Rome as ambassador extraordinary. December 19, 1699, he presented the insignia of the Order of the Holy Spirit to the sons of King John III of Poland, became enamored with Hortense Mancini, Duchess of Mazarin, who was exiled from France. He followed her to Rome and then to London. Rivalry with Charles II. In London, Louis I and King Charles II of England were rivals for Hortense Mancini's favor. This led to a rivalry in prodigality between the Prince of Monaco and the King of Great Britain. Wow. Rivalry with Charles II. In London, Louis I and King Charles II of England were rivals for Hortense Mancini's favor. This led to a rivalry in prodigality between the Prince of Monaco and the King of Great Britain. Death and burial. Louis I died in Rome. His remains were transported back to Monaco for burial. His rule was marked by his close ties to French court, his diplomatic roles, and his personal romantic pursuits. His reign continued the alignment of Monaco with France that had established by his grandfather Henri II. Look at these beautiful images. Hmm. Okay. Based on the search, Hercule Grimaldi, Marquis of Pau, he was the only son of Henri II and his wife Ippolita Trivulzio. He held the title Marquis of Pau. He married Maria Aurelia Spinola and had four children, including Louis I, who would later become Prince of Monaco. He died tragically at the age of 27 due to an accidental shooting incident. The accident occurred during a visit to the convent of Carnole in Menton, where Hercule was engaging in recreational shooting with some guards. He was fatally wounded in the spine when a guard mishandled a gun while demonstrating how it worked. His death meant that his 9-year-old son Louis became the heir apparent to Henri II. Louis would later succeed Henri II as Louis I, Prince of Monaco. Untimely death meant he never ruled Monaco himself, with the succession passing directly from his father to his son. He died at 27. He had a 9-year-old kid. Hmm. Interesting. And then Louis I became, wow, interesting. Let's see, what do we have about what's the story of Hortense Mancini and who did she end up picking? Okay, all right, let's see. Born on June 6, 1946, in Rome, one of the five sisters known for their great beauty, niece of Cardinal Mazarin, chief minister of France. She married Armand Charles de la Me de la Melehai in 1661, who took the name and title of Duke of Mazarin. The marriage was unhappy with her husband, described as jealous, overly religious, and controlling. Fled her marriage in 68, traveling to Rome and then other parts of Europe. Lived for a time in Chambéry under the protection of the Duke of Savoy. Eventually made her way to England in 1650, 1675. Relationship with Charles too. Oh, so she ended up choosing King of England, became a mistress of King Charles II of England, given an apartment and pension by Charles II. The relationship was described as a good match, sharing interests in parties, riding, and fencing. Known for her beauty, wit, and scandalous lifestyle, engaged in affairs with both men and women, fond of cross dressing, sometimes traveling disguised as a man, one of the first women in France to publish her memoirs. Her memoirs were translated into English by 1676. She died in 1699, okay, in Chelsea, England. And so maybe she was just 50 years old, just about 50. Some sources suggest she may have committed suicide. Her husband controversially transported her body around France before allowing burial, burial. Considered one of the most famous and scandalous women of her time, her life has been subject of much historical interest and speculation. Hmm. What were some interesting stories from Hortense? I don't even know if I'm saying that name right. Mancini's memoirs. The King's Mistresses. Was unhappily married at age 14 to the Duke de la later Duke Mazarin. Her husband's behavior became very odd and controlling after the marriage. Husband had female servants' teeth knocked out to make them less distracting, forbade milkmaids from milking cows, considering it too sexual, and censored art by damaging sculptures and paintings. Hmm. Female servants' teeth knocked out to make them less distracting. Restrictive lifestyle. Her husband insisted she spend most of her day in prayer, avoid all other men, and moved her from Paris to the countryside. After 7 years of marriage, Hortense escaped with her brother's help, leaving behind her young children. She fled to Rome, taking refuge with her sister Marie, who was also escaping an abusive marriage. The sisters then traveled to France together. Hortense had affairs with both men and women, including King Charles II of England, possibly the writer Afra Ben, known to sometimes travel disguised as a man. After losing favor with Louis XIV, she faced financial difficulties and had to rely on her writing and connections for support. Spent her final years living in Chelsea, England, where she continued to have a colorful social life. Her husband carted her body around France before finally allowing it to be buried near her uncle Cardinal Mazarin. Okay, interesting. Let's see. This was interesting. Rival. Tell me about the rivalry and prodigality between Prince of Monaco and the King of Great Britain. And while Louis I of Monaco, who ruled 62 to 1701, the King of Great Britain was Charles II. Rivalry centered around Hortense Mancini, Duchess of Mazarin, who was exiled from France due to her intrigues, became enamored with Hortense and followed her to Rome and then London. Both became rivals for her favor. Saint Evremond, a contemporary figure, tried to separate Hortense from Prince Louis and make her prime favorite of King Charles II in place of the Duchess of Portsmouth. Portsmouth. This situation led to a rivalry and prodigality between Prince Louis Little Monaco and King Charles II of Great Britain. The rivalry was described as the fable of the frog and the ox enacted, suggesting that Prince Louis was trying to compete with the much more powerful and wealthy King Charles II. Both men engage in extravagant spending and displays of wealth to win Hortense Mancini's favor. Outside ambitions of smaller principalities like Monaco and competing with major powers. Interesting. Okay, now we'll go back to Antonio. Now we'll have more and more details about the rulers because we are getting closer to the history. We are getting into the 1700s now. Just 200 more years to go. Let's see. 1720. We got the Monaco coat of arms here. Monegasque coat of arms. Okay, let's see. Full title: HSH Antoine I, Sovereigns of Monaco. He ruled from 71 to 1731. He was styled as Duke of Valentinois. In 1715, he ceded the Duchy of Valentinois to his son-in-law Jacques Goyon de Matignon et de Toigny. Toigny. French honors received the Order of the Holy Ghost in 1724, made a Knight Grand Cross of the Order of Saint Louis in 1729. Born in Paris, 61, died in Monaco, 1731, buried at St. Nicholas Cathedral, Monaco. Married Mary de Lorraine on Armagnac on June 13, 1688 at the Chapel, 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 Chapel of the Palace of Versailles. His wife was born on August 2, 1674 in Paris and died 1724 at the Prince's Palace of Monaco. Upon his death, he was succeeded by his second daughter, Louis Hippolyte. Hippolyte. His rule occurred during a period when Monaco was under French protection, following the shift from Spanish to French allegiance made by his grandfather Henri II. He maintained close ties with France, as evidenced by the French honors he received. Continuation of Monaco's alignment. Okay, let's go into uh, Monaco ruler now. The 1800s is when they have too many ruler change. Tell me about the rule of Louis. Full title is HSH. Born in Paris, 1697, succeeded her father, sovereign princess of Monaco, Mary Jacques Francois Leonor, Leonor Goyon C. de Matignon on October 20, 1715 in Monaco. Husband's role. Her husband became Jacques I Francois Leonor, sovereign prince of Monaco. He was also Duke d'Estouteville and Baron Baron de Saint-Lô. He became Duke of Valentinois and peer of France by accession from his father-in-law. Her husband assumed the name and arms of Grimaldi by decree of his father-in-law, Antoine I. Her reign was extremely brief, lasting less than a year. She died at Monaco in 1731. She was buried at St. Nicholas Cathedral. She was succeeded by her husband, who ruled as Jacques I until his abdication in 1733. She was one of the few women to rule Monaco in her own right. However, due to its brevity, there is little information on any specific policies or events during her rule. Subsequent rule of husband played a crucial role in the continuation of the Grimaldi dynasty through the female line. Ooh, okay, okay. So now it's continuing again through the female line. I think this has happened before. So after Antonio or Antoine won, we had Louis Hippolyte, and then we had Jacques won. It's never, yeah, it's never gonna be a, it's never gonna be a straight line. It's gonna have a lot of interesting curves because somebody would be a great ruler, suddenly they will die. Then somebody would rule for 60, 70 years and they will start as a great person, slowly become a bad person, and then they might get assassinated, something like that. Interesting things keep on happening. Full name Jacques Francois, came from an ancient Norman family and married Louis Hippolyte, heir to Monaco in 1715. Served as consort to his wife for 10 months. Served as a regent for his wife until her death. Her death from smallpox. He became the Prince of Monaco. When he joined Louis Hippolyte in Monaco, his reception was much colder than hers had been. His rule was short lived and unpopular. Yeah, just 2 years. Short lived and unpopular. He neglected state affairs and was pressured by the population. Under pressure from the population, Jack had to leave Monaco in May 1732. Okay, okay. So very, yeah. Uh, not Louis. Louis died in December, and by the next year, May, he had to leave Monaco. He abdicated in favor of his honoree on November 7, 1733. Marriage between Jacques and Louise was not happy. He preferred to stay in Versailles, where he had several mistresses. After abdicating, he spent his last years in Versailles and Paris. His Paris residence, Hotel Matignon, is now the official residence of the Prime Minister of France. Hmm. Hmm. So Jacques Jacques won his residence in Paris. Hotel Matignon is now the official residence of the Prime Minister of France. Prime Minister of France, who right now is Macron, Emmanuel Macron. Jacques Wan's brief reign was marked by unpopularity and neglect of Monaco's affairs, leading to his eventual abdication in favor of his son. Hotel Matignon, 7th arrondissement, official residence and workplace of the Prime Minister of France since 1935. Beautiful. Very beautiful. built between 1722 to 1725 by architect Jean Courton for Christian Louis de Montmorency, Luxembourg, acquired in 1723 by Jacques III de Guillaume, from whom it gets its name, passed through various aristocratic families before being purchased by the French state in 1922. Considered one of the finest examples of Regency style hotels, particularly in Hotel Particulier in Paris features elaborate Rococo decorations, especially on the facade. Rococo has a large 3 hectare garden behind the building, contains grand reception rooms with period decorations. Some rooms retain original 18th century wood paneling. Renovations in the 19th century added paintings by artists like Paul Baudry, usually closed to the public but opens for European Heritage Days. Journée du Patrimoine. Patrimoine. Visitors can see the courtyard, Prime Minister's office, ground floor salons, and garden during these open days. French medium common language is Matinio is often used as a metonym for the prime minister or their services. Michel Barnier is listed as the current prime minister residing at Hotel Matinio. Ariman is here. Ariman, your question. You have chat open in front of you. I have, if you can hear me, I have Perplexity open in front of you, in front of me. Open in front of me. Okay, this is very interesting. Okay, let's go back. Where are we at? So, Louise took over, died from smallpox. Her husband took over, but he wasn't good at it. So he left because he had much fun things back home in Paris than take care of the state affairs of Monaco. Tell me about the rule of Honorary 3. Oh, I guess your question was you have chat open in front of you now. I don't have chat open in front of me when I am on Perplexity. Okay, beautiful photos. This guy keeps coming up. Who is this? Who is this guy? This is Henri 2. Okay, that is Henri 2, and I believe this is Henri 3. Okay, let's see. So Henri was the kid of Louis and Jacques 1. Became Prince of Monaco at the age of 13 following his father Jacques' abdication. Antonio Grimaldi, Chevalier de Grimaldi, an illegitimate son of Antonio I, served as regent and de facto ruler of Monaco from 1732 until his death in 1784. Antonio Grimaldi, Chevalier de Grimaldi, Antonio Grimaldi, Chevalier de Grimaldi, an illegitimate son of Antonio I. Illegitimate son of Antonio I, served as regent. Okay, so Honorary 3 was Antonio I, Louis, and then Honorary 3. But with Louis, Antonio also had an illegitimate son, and while Honorary 3 was a kid, that illegitimate, let's say, uncle was serving as the regent. Chevalier de Grimaldi, an illegitimate son of Antonio I, served as regent and de facto ruler of Monaco. De facto ruler of Monaco from 1732 until his death in 1784. So the illegitimate son happened to ruled a long time. Okay, 1732 to 1784, so 50 years length of reign, and 59 years. Henri III's reign is the longest in Monaco's history. As colonel of the regiment of Monaco in the French army, he participated in the War of Austrian Succession. As colonel of the regiment of Monaco in the French army, he participated in the War of the Austrian Succession, 1740 to 1748. In 1770, he abolished the law that allowed the sovereign prince to inherit the property of anyone who died on his land, viewing it as barbaric. He abolished the law that allowed the sovereign prince to inherit the property of anyone who died on his land, viewing it as barbaric. His reign saw the establishment of Monaco's first printing press and first newspaper, the Courrier de Monaco. Courrier de Monaco. French Revolution impact. Revolution had severe consequences for Henri III and his family. So French Revolution also happened during this time. He lost his aristocratic privileges and French properties. In January 1793, he was officially deposed, and he was officially deposed, and Monaco was annexed by France. He was arrested and imprisoned in France during the Reign of Terror. He worked to improve trade and economy, which was heavily dependent on citrus fruit cultivation at the time. That entire region is known for lemons and citrus, mainly lemons. French relations. Henri III maintained close ties with French kings Louis XV and Louis XVI. 1756, he decreed that Monaco would be ceded to France if the Grimaldi succession agreement. He decreed that Monaco would be ceded to France if the Grimaldi dynasty died out. If the Grimaldi dynasty died out. So basically, all you have to do is diversify your portfolio, have as many kids as possible so that the Grimaldi dynasty never dies. Perfect. He decreed that Monaco would be ceded to France if the Grimaldi dynasty died out. After his release from prison, Henri III died in Paris at the age of 74. His long reign saw both periods of stability and significant upheaval, particularly due to French Revolution, which ultimately led to his deposition and the annexation of Monaco by France. Okay, let's go back. Interesting guy. Interesting guy. And this is when it is annexed by France for a while. Tell me about the time when Monaco was annexed by France. French revolutionary forces captured Monaco in 1793. Prince Henri III was officially declared deposed by the Monegasque National Convention. We have Monaco over here. Beautiful. This looks like an F1 track. National Museum, Monte Carlo, International Hydrographic Bureau, LA Condamine, Museum of Prehistoric Anthropology, Exotic Garden, Palace Cathedral. That's it. It is a really small state. There's France, Kingdom of Sardinia. Sardinia. Okay. Monaco was absorbed into the French Republic and renamed Fort Hercules. Whoa. Monaco was absorbed. This they were talking about 1793. Okay, so 1800. In 1800s, Monaco was absorbed into the French Republic and renamed Fort Hercules. The princely palace was confiscated by the revolutionary government, became part of the French Department of Alpes Maritimes. Prince Henri III and his son Henri IV were arrested during the Reign of Terror. Henri III was imprisoned for 15 months while family's art collections and assets were seized and sold off. Wow. Wow, I guess Henri IV had to start from zero. The palace was used as a hospital and poorhouse during this period. Wow, they really ruined the palace. There was no reign of terror, mass arrest, and bloodshed in Monaco itself, unlike in France. Prince Henri III died after his release from prison. Prince Henri IV technically became the ruler but had no power during the French occupation. Annexation lasted until 1814 when Napoleon abdicated. Monaco's independence was restored by the Congress of Vienna. Henri IV was officially renamed the Principality's ruler, though he was too ill to govern effectively. So when you are in prison, you don't get proper chicken, milk smoothies, and like eggs and nice breakfast. So your health just deteriorates. List all the rulers of Monaco from 1800 up until now. Let's see. We'll talk about Henri IV, Henri V, Florestan, Charles III, Albert I, Louis II. Then, okay, we got six more to go. Let's see. So we have been streaming for 1 hour 11 minutes. Let's go. Let's make this happen. Henri IV. What does it say? Okay, so there were some regency over here because he was a kid. Tell me about the rule of Henri IV. After Napoleon's abdication, Treaty of Paris reestablished Monaco's borders to the 1792 state and restored the French protectorate. Okay, so 1792 state and restored the French protectorate. Okay, let's see some images. We should be having much better images now. 1814, Henri IV was officially named the Principality's ruler. He was in poor health, having been imprisoned during the French Revolution for 15 months, which greatly undermined his physical condition. Due to his ill health, he was unable to visit Monaco or effectively govern the principality. A regency was established to rule in his name. His brother Joseph served as regent from 14 to 15. His son Henri V became administrator of Monaco and served as regent until his death. His son served as a regent until his death in 1819. Henri IV lived in Paris during this period, unable to return to Monaco. The Congress of Vienna re-established Monaco as a protectorate of the Kingdom of Sardinia rather than France. Okay. The change in protectorate led to economic difficulties as Sardinia closed the tobacco plantations that had been an important source of income for Monaco. Died on February 16, 1819 in Paris under mysterious circumstances. He was found drowned in the Seine River, and it's unclear whether it was accident, suicide, or possibly murder. Most significant contribution to Monaco's history was fathering his two sons, the future princes Henri V and Florestan I, who would go on to rule the principality. Normal due to his poor health, inability to govern directly, was carried out by regents, first his brother and then his son. Nice. Tell me about the rule of Joseph, Mary, Jerome, Henri, Grimaldi. Let's see what we have. Second son of Henri III. Second son of Henri III. Okay, Henri III. And just to go back and quickly check about Henri III, 59 years. And he maintained close ties with the French government. You call something a dynasty when that's been going on for generations. If it's just one generation, two generation, it's not a dynasty. But dynasty is a good word. It's a It's a heavy word. It's a heavy word. It means like this thing has been going on for years and years and years and years and generations and generations. He was the second son of Henri III, Prince of Monaco, and the younger brother of Prince Henri IV. When Monaco's independence was restored, however, due to poor health, Joseph became regent. He lasted, oh, oh, June. Wait, what? However, the sources suggest he served as regent into 1815. So somebody's like, he literally was the regent for 5 days. June 17, 1814 up to June 23, 1814. Okay. Was not particularly eager to deal with the principality's affairs, preferring his life in Paris. Due to Joseph's reluctance, he facilitated handing over the reins to his nephew, Henri Gabriel, later Prince Henri V, who was Henri IV's eldest son. He had married Mary Therese de Choiseul, Choiseul in 1782. During the French Revolution, his wife was executed by guillotine in 1794, leaving behind three young daughters. Before his regency, Joseph had taken charge of the family estates on behalf of his ailing brother at the end of 1795, following their father's death. He died in 1816, oh, not much longer, shortly after his brief period as regent, marked by his reluctance to govern, leading to a quick transition of power to his nephew. His role was primarily to bridge gap between the restoration of the independence and establishment of more permanent governance structure under his brother's line. Under his brother's line. Tell me about the rule of Henri Grimaldi, Duke de Valentinois. Valentinois. This Henri was the eldest son of Prince Henri IV and would later become Prince Henri V of Monaco. Okay, so makes sense. So for at first his title was different. He was Henri Grimaldi, Duc de Valentinois, and then he changed his name to Henri V after the death of Henri IV. He became administrator of Monaco in January 1815 and served as regent until Henri IV's death in 1819. He was a brilliant soldier who had entered cavalry service at age 20 and prospered in the army of Empire Marshal Emmanuel the Grouchy. He took over regency duties from his uncle Prince Joseph, who was not particularly eager to deal with Principality's affairs because his life in Paris was much more exciting. Governance style. Even as regent, he was described as extravagant and fond of luxuries for himself, but miserly towards others, including his own family. He raised taxes and tried to restore the tobacco plant his great grandfather Henri III had founded, which had been closed by the government of Turin, or Kingdom of Sardinia. He attempted to open factories and initiate citrus farm cooperatives to generate production and alleviate poverty. Huh. He raised taxes. He restored tobacco plant. He opened factories to generate production and alleviate poverty. Okay. His measures were seen by the people as autocratic as he was not popular despite his efforts to improve the economy. He was described as a loner who did not trust anyone, including his brother, to help him govern. He was also said to be invisible to the public. Upon his father's death, he succeeded as sovereign prince Henri V of Monaco to address Monaco's economic challenges, but his autocratic style and perceived mis- miserliness did not endear him to the population. His regency set the tone for his later rule as Prince of Monaco. Ooh, let's see what's going to happen. And he did rule for 20 years. So something interesting is going to happen. Tell me about the rule of Henri V. Succession. Henri V became sovereign prince of Monaco in 1819 upon the death of his father Henri IV. He had served as regent from due to his father's poor health, was a brilliant soldier who had served in Napoleon's army, receiving the Legion of Honor for his heroic deeds. He served in Napoleon's army. Hmm. He inherited a principality beset with problems, largely due to Monaco becoming a protectorate of Piedmont, Sardinia instead of France. He attempted to diversify economic resources and encourage the installation of factories. He tried to restore the top tobacco plant his grandfather had founded. He initiated citrus farm cooperatives to generate production and alleviate poverty. Henri V was forced to raise taxes considerably, which made him increasingly unpopular. Describe autocratic, unpopular, extravagant, fond of luxuries, misery towards others, loner, did not trust anyone, even his brother, largely invisible to the public. He went to Turin to try to reason with the king of Sardinia about economic issues, but was unsuccessful. He wished to help his people sincerely and had great sympathy for the poor, leading some to regard him as a sort of socialist. Hmm. He wished to help his people sincerely and had great sympathy for the poor, leading some to regard him as a sort of socialist. His policies caused the population to rebel, necessitating army troops from Savoy to quell the uprising. Henri V never married but had an illegitimate son with his mistress Félicite de Gamache. 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 He died October 2, 1841, in Paris, unpopular and unappreciated. As he had no illegitimate children, he was succeeded by his brother Florestan. Hmm. Marked by his attempts to address Monaco's economic challenges, but his autocratic style and increased taxation made him unpopular despite his efforts to improve conditions. His autocratic style. Tell me more. Tell me more about his extravagant and fond of luxuries. Fond of luxuries for himself, this suggests he enjoyed a lavish lifestyle and personal comforts. He was reportedly miserly towards others. According to Victor de la Canorque, a professor of the period, Henri V gave pensions disproportionate to his means to his family members. This implies that he provided minimal financial support to his relatives despite his own wealth. Hmm. Control over church property. Ordinance from 1815 suggested that Henri V brought even the benches of the parish church, which some persons had built at their own expense, under his control for his own profit. This action demonstrates his desire to control and profit from even minor assets. Heavily focused on Monaco's crippled economy, he raised taxes and attempted to restore industries like tobacco manufacturing to generate revenue. Opening factories and initiating citrus farm cooperatives were seen by people as autocratic, stem from his tight control over resources and reluctance to share wealth. So very unpopular guy. LV. Okay, perfect. Let's go back. Let's check out Florestan one, who was the brother, because Henri V didn't have a legitimate son. 41 to 1846. This is the family motto, Dio Ejuante. I believe it means something in God's something. Okay, let's see. Became Prince of Monaco, succeeding his brother. He was ill prepared for the role, having, okay, how many years are we talking? We're talking about 15 years. We're getting there, we're getting there. It's 1850s. Okay, let's see. Having previously been an actor at the theatre, theatre, Théâtre de l'Ambigu Comique in Paris. Born on October 10, 1785 in Paris, married Maria Caroline Gilbert de Lametz in 1816. He had two children, Charles, future Prince Charles III, and Princess Florestine, described as utterly unsuited for the task before him by historian H. Pemberton. The real power during his reign lay with his wife, Princess Caroline, who was intelligent and skilled in social and state affairs, inherited economic difficulties stemming from Monaco being a protectorate of the Kingdom of Sardinia rather than France. Princess Caroline attempted tax reforms to alleviate the situation. Unlike his predecessor, Florestan was visible to the public, which was initially well received, established a school in Menton, though it was expensive, attempted to meet local demands for democratic reforms, offered two constitutions to the local population, which were rejected. 1848, encouraged by the French Revolution, the towns of Menton and Roquebrune revolted and declared themselves independent. Florestan was briefly dethroned, arrested, and imprisoned, restored to the throne in 1849, but Menton and Roquebrune was permanently lost. This is the time when they were like, okay, take Menton, take Roquebrune, but now give us back our sovereignty again, like make us totally sovereign. Transition of power. When the reform efforts failed, Florestan and Caroline handed over power to their son Charles. Hmm. Despite good intentions by his death in 1856, Monaco was divided with poor economic prospects, succeeded by his son Charles III. The plan for casino gambling was drafted during Florestan's reign in 1846. This was seen as a potential solution to the Principality's financial troubles, though the first casino didn't open until after his death. Significant territorial loss. Lack of preparation for leadership and the challenging political climate of the time contributed to the difficulties faced by Monaco during this period. Hmm. Florestan was ill prepared because maybe he never thought he would become the king, the prince, because Henri Fay was took over and he was leading it, but then he suddenly died, and Florestan was now the king. And again, and it was good. Like he married a smart wife. Smart, he had a smart wife, and she handled the state affairs. Now we have Charles, who did 30 years. Let's go. Let's go, Charles. Tell me about the rule of Charles III. 1889. We are getting into 1900s. Let's go. Modernization. Charles III endeavored to turn Monaco into a modern state with international recognition in all attributes of sovereignty. Prince de Monaco Charles III. Yes, this is the prince. Okay, perfect. Reform legal and administrative systems, developed diplomatic relations, and signed treaties, instituted the Fête du Sou- Souverain. I believe Fête means festival. So, Fête du Souverain in 1857, introduced the National Order of St. Charles in 1858, created a new nobility based on merit and virtue, provided a national flag for Monaco in 1881, re-established monetary impressions, abandoned in 1838, introduced the first postage stamps in 1885. I believe this is what he's talking about, the coin, cent, francs, and the postage stamp. Okay. Secured the creation of an autonomous diocese for Monaco in 1887, managed to involve Monaco in international exhibitions, conceived the idea of creating a district for sea bathing and leisure activities, which became Monte Carlo. Conceived the idea of creating a district for sea bathing and leisure activities. The financial success of Monte Carlo led to the modernization of Monaco and economic diversification. The first casino opened during his reign, partnered with Francois and Louis Blanc to develop the casino industry. Gave up claims to Menton and Roquebrune in 1861, which constituted about 95% of Monaco's territory. Received 4.1 million francs from France in compensation. Wow, that makes sense. So Menton and Roquebrune were massive. They were 95% of Monaco's territory, and they gave it away. Hmm. Diplomatic achievements. Sovereignty was recognized in the Franco-Monegasque Treaty of 1861, established diplomatic and consular relations with other countries. 1869, Monaco stopped collecting income tax from residents, making it attractive for wealthy individuals. Because they're making so much money from Monte Carlo, from tourism, and from gambling. Marked by significant modernization efforts, the establishment of Monaco's sovereignty on the international stage, and the transformation of Principality's economy through the development of Monte Carlo and the gambling industry. What is Monte Carlo quickly? Gimme. District within the Principality of Monaco, known for its luxury casinos, playground for the wealthy. Area has rich history dating back to the Iron Age, with Ligurian Monaicos establishing one of the earliest settlements. The name Monaco is derived from the early settlement. Romans arrived, incorporating the territory into maritime Alps. Julius Caesar is said to have sailed from Monaco to fight in Greece. Ghibelline fortress constructed a fortress on what is now known as the Rock of Monaco, asserting their authority in the region. Grimaldi dynasty with Francesco. The Monte Carlo casino opened in 1858 by Francois and Louis Blanc, which significantly boosted the local economy and transformed Monaco into a tourist destination. Casino attracted affluent visitors and contributed to Monaco's financial recovery after years of economic decline. Opening casino coincided with improvements in transportation, particularly with the French railway system making it easier for tourists to visit Monaco. Other cultural institutions were established, including the Oceanographic Museum and the Monte Carlo Opera House. Due to casino's profitability, Monaco abolished so much money, making so much money that Monaco abolished the income tax for residents, further attracting wealthy individuals to settle in the principality. Today, Monte Carlo is synonymous with luxury and opulence, hosting high profile events like the Grand Prix and attracting celebrities and affluent tourists. Continue to be vital components of their economy, contributing significantly to its status as a tax haven and luxury destination. Okay. So did Charles. Charles 3 was good. Charles 3 was good. Florestan, the brother, wasn't ready. Honorary 4 was kind of like raising taxes, but also kind of too much controlling, too much autocratic. Florestan wasn't ready, so wife helped. Charles 3 did a lot of modernization. Let's go to Albert 1. We are at 1 hour 33 minutes. Good. I think we'll end at 1:40, let's say. Albert I ascended the throne of Monaco on September 10, 1889, following the death of his father. Deeply devoted to oceanography, exploration, and science, established the museum, remains a top center for oceanography to this day. Outstanding reputation in scientific circles, and held a seat in the Academy of Sciences. Hmm. Marriage. He married Mary Elise who helped put Monaco on a sound financial footing and worked to make it a cultural center for Europe. Prince Albert I, we're talking about 10, 30 years. Again, 30 years. Nice. adopted the first constitution of the principality, separating the executive, legislative, and judicial powers originally held by the prince. Hmm. Constitutional reforms. Now we are the learning from what's happening around the world, what's happening in France, Italy, and seeing like, okay, we cannot stay the kings, the rulers that we were. There were mass protests against his rule, with Monegasque demanding a constitutional parliament to reign in the absolute monarch. Principality faced severe unemployment due to lack of factories and farmland, and citizens were not allowed to work in the casinos. Hmm. Severe unemployment due to the lack of factories and farmland, and citizens were not allowed to work in the casinos. Albert became a pacifist and established the International Institute of Peace in Monaco, declared neutrality. World War One declared neutrality but provided Allied forces with hospitals, convalescent centers, and soldiers, including Albert's son Louis, made numerous efforts to dissuade Germany's Kaiser Wilhelm II from war and personally intervened to save French villages from destruction. Made numerous attempts to dissuade Germany's Kaiser Wilhelm II from war and personally intervened to save French villages from destruction. The Treaty of Versailles in 1918 provided for limited French protection over Monaco, aligning the Principality's international policy with French interests. Hmm. Significant scientific contributions, constitutional reforms, efforts to make Monaco's neutrality and peace during a tumultuous period in European history, transition from an absolute monarchy to a constitutional one while also establishing itself as a center for scientific research. Nice. Nice. We are in 1922, and now we have Louis too. Perfect. His son. Ascended to the throne following the death of his father, oversaw formation of Monaco Football Club. The first Grand Prix of Monaco automobile race was held 1929. Okay. So he's also almost running for 30 years. He hired Ren Blum to form the Ballet de l'Opera, La- l'Opera Monte Carlo, boosting Monaco's cultural prestige. Faced difficulties due to economic crisis originating from the United States and the declining revenues of the Société des Bains de Mer. Mer means sea. Bain, I forgot. What is bain? Bain, let me do a quick Google Translate over here. Bain's bath. Oh, so I'm guessing it's referring to the entire Monte Carlo area where people are, yeah, leisure, where they just are spending their time at the beach and drinking and spending money. So declining revenues from there. Initially attempted to maintain Monaco's neutrality, supported the Vichy France government of Marshal Pétain. Pétain. Monaco was occupied by Italian troops in November 1942. After Mussolini's fall, German forces occupied Monaco. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Okay. They were trying to be neutral. They supported France. They were occupied by Italian. After Mussolini's fall, German forces occupied Monaco in September 1943. Louis II used Monaco police to warn Jewish inhabitants of impending Gestapo arrest. He used Monaco police to warn Jewish inhabitants of impending Gestapo arrest. 90 Jewish residents were rounded up and handed over to the Nazis. Most were murdered in the Holocaust. Post war period. Following liberation, Louis II did little for his principality, and Monaco began to fall into severe neglect. Personal life. So, post war would be 1945. At the age of 75, he married for the first time. At the age of 75, he married for the first time to Ghislaine Domin Dominiette, a French film actress. His daughter Charlotte ceded her succession rights to her son Rainier in 1944. When Louis II died in 1949, he was succeeded by his grandson Rainier III. While his reign never achieved the grandeur of his father's, Louis II left an indelible imprint on the Principality, particularly in the early modernization and cultural development. Reign was marked by indecisiveness during World War II, questionable financial links with the Nazi regime, and a rift with her grandson, Rainier, with the support for the Allies. Rift with his grandson, Rainier. Let's quickly look at Rainier, and we should be good. 1 hour 40 minutes. This is a long one. Tell me about the rule of Rainier 3. Following death of grandfather, oversaw significant modernization, worked to diversify the economy beyond traditional reliance on gambling, attracting international business with advantageous tax policies, oversaw addition of the Fontvale district, which was reclaimed from the sea, increasing Monaco's land area by about 20%. New constitution was proclaimed, providing for women's suffrage, abolishing capital punishment, and establishing a Supreme Court of Monaco. Marriage to American actress Grace Kelly brought global attention to Monaco, strengthened ties with the United States, had three children: Princess Caroline, Princess Albert II, and Princess Stephanie. Continued to develop Monaco as a luxury tourist destination, supported events like Monaco Grand Prix. This thing has been happening for 100 years now. Wow. Rainier III supported various cultural institutions and events in Monaco. 56-year reign was one of the longest in European history. Faced health issues. He relinquished his duties to son Albert due to illness. Died, succeeded by son, characterized by significant economic growth, modernization, increased international prominence. Hmm. Grace Kelly and the Prince. And Prince Albert too. Caroline, Stephanie. Wow. Wow. We covered every single ruler of Monaco, of the Grimaldi dynasty from 1297. Albert. Albert. Okay, let's see. Albert 2, right? Albert, yeah, Albert 2. Early life, only son of Rainier III and Grace Kelly, studied in the United States, degree in political science from Amherst College, known for his commitment to environmental causes, member of the International Olympic Committee since 1985, married Charlene Wittstock, a former Olympic swimmer from South Africa. Hmm. Children, couple has twins, Gabriella and Prince Jacques, born in 2014. Continued efforts to diversify Monaco's economy and attract international business. Work to improve the reputation for financial transparency and cooperation with international authorities. Supports various cultural and charitable initiatives in Monaco internationally. Wow. Okay, perfect. That's stream. Thank you.